Hey friend, welcome. Wherever you are right now, take one slow breath, in and out. Let your shoulders drop a little. I'm going to tell you a story about God, a story about mercy, and what it looks like when someone gets called back home. There was a man named Caleb. Caleb wasn't a pastor. He wasn't a perfect believer. He was just normal work, bills, notifications, deadlines. He believed in God in theory, but he lived like God was far away, like God was for special moments, not for ordinary nights. Caleb had a sister named Mara. Growing up, they were close. Same jokes, same music, same late-night talks. But adulthood pulled them apart, not with one big explosion, more like slow distance, a missed call, a canceled plan, a silence that stretched. Then months went by, and Mara disappeared from their family's rhythm. Caleb tried not to think about it. He told himself, "She's grown. She'll figure it out." But underneath that was worry he didn't want to name, because naming worry makes it real. So he stayed busy, and he stayed distracted, and he stayed emotionally guarded until the phone rang. It was late, almost midnight, an unknown number. Caleb stared at it. He almost let it go to voicemail. Then something in him said, "Answer." So he did. A shaky voice said, "Caleb, it's me." And his whole body went still. "Mara," he said. Her breathing sounded thin. "I'm at a shelter," she whispered. "I don't know who else to call." Caleb felt anger rise first, hot, fast, then fear, deeper. He swallowed. "Where are you?" he asked, and he heard himself add, "I'm coming." Caleb drove through the city with his jaw clenched. Streetlights blurred past. His mind ran in circles. Why now? Why like this? Why did it get this far? At a red light, his hands tightened on the wheel. Then he whispered something he hadn't whispered in a long time. "God, help me." Not a speech, not a sermon, just two words that cracked open the night. The shelter smelled like disinfectant and exhaustion. Fluorescent lighting, plastic chairs, quiet voices. Caleb spotted Mara in a corner, a blanket around her shoulders. She looked smaller than he remembered. When she saw him, she didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. She just cried. And Caleb froze, because compassion was harder than anger. Caleb sat down next to her. He didn't know what to say, so he said the simplest thing he could manage. "Hey." Mara covered her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Caleb stared at the floor. His heart wanted to protect itself, but something softer moved underneath. He said, "Let's just get you out of here." In the car, Mara stared out the window. City lights slid across her face. She finally said, "I don't know how I got so lost." Caleb swallowed. He wanted to fix it, explain it, rewrite it. But he couldn't. So he said, "You're not alone right now." And the words surprised him, because they sounded like mercy. Mara's voice got smaller. "Do you think God hates me?" she asked. Caleb felt that question hit his chest. He didn't answer quickly. Then he said, "No." Pause. "I don't think God hates you." Pause. "I think God is the one who comes looking." Mara didn't respond, but her breathing changed. Slower. Like her body heard something hopeful. That night, Caleb couldn't sleep. Not because he was anxious about work, because something holy felt close. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at nothing, and he whispered, "God, I don't know how to love like you." Pause. "Teach me." It was the first time in a long time that his prayer wasn't about control. It was about surrender. The next morning, Caleb took Mara to a small diner. Warm booths, coffee smell, quiet chatter. Mara held her mug with both hands like she needed warmth inside. A waitress noticed Mara's shaking hands. She didn't stare. She didn't judge. She said softly, "Hun, I'll be praying for you." Mara's eyes filled. After the waitress walked away, Mara whispered, "I forgot people could be kind." Caleb didn't say it out loud, but he felt it. God was showing up through ordinary kindness. Caleb found a small room for Mara to stay. Not perfect, but safe. He helped her get clean clothes, helped her make phone calls, helped her eat real meals. Some moments were quiet. Some moments were tense, because healing doesn't happen without friction. And Caleb learned something. Being near someone's pain will expose your own heart. Mara had good days, then hard days. Some mornings she woke up determined. Some nights she collapsed into shame. Caleb didn't always say the right thing, but he kept showing up. And in the middle of that messy love, something in Caleb changed. He started praying more, not because he was trying to look spiritual, because he ran out of answers. One Sunday, Mara said, "I want to go to church." Caleb blinked. "Why?" he asked. Mara looked down. "Because I need God," she whispered. "And I don't know where else to start." So they went. Not to a huge church, a small one. They sat in the back. When the music started, Mara cried like her soul recognized the sound. After the service, an older woman approached them. No interrogation, no suspicion, just a warm smile. "I'm glad you're here," she said. Then she looked at Mara and added, "God hasn't forgotten you." Mara tried to speak, but tears came first. Caleb expected embarrassment. What he saw was relief, like shame had finally been challenged by truth. On the way home, Mara whispered, "Do you think God can still bless me after everything?" Caleb took a breath. "Yes," he said. Pause. "I believe he can." And he realized he meant it, not as a cliché, as a conviction forming inside him. The church connected Mara with a counselor. Not a magical fix, a steady process. Mara started doing hard things, apologizing to someone she hurt, setting boundaries with someone unsafe, writing down triggers, building new habits. It was slow, but it was real, and that kind of change has God's fingerprints on it. Caleb began reading scripture again, not to win arguments, not to prove anything, to be fed. One verse kept repeating in his mind: "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted." Near, not only when you're impressive, near when you're broken. That verse began to change the way Caleb saw his sister and the way he saw himself. One night, Mara confessed something. "I don't forgive myself," she said. Caleb didn't rush to say, "It's fine." He said, "That's honest." Then he added, "But God's mercy is bigger than your self-hate." Mara stared at the floor. Caleb continued, softer. "Let's ask God for mercy, right now." And for the first time, Caleb prayed out loud with her. Simple words, real words. "God, please cover Mara with mercy." Weeks passed. Mara got stronger, not perfect, but steadier. She started sleeping better. She started eating regularly. She started laughing again. Small laughter, but it sounded like life. Caleb noticed something else too. He was less angry, less controlling, more tender, and that scared him a little. Because tenderness means you can be hurt, but it also means you can love like God loves. Then came the setback. A night when Mara spiraled. She called Caleb, panicking. "I messed up," she said. "I ruined everything." Caleb drove over. When he arrived, Mara was shaking. Caleb sat down across from her, and he said, "Look at me." Mara looked up. Caleb said, "This is not the end of your story." Mara whispered, "How do you know?" Caleb paused. Then he answered from a place deeper than pride. "Because God doesn't quit," he said, "and we're not quitting either." He prayed again, not fancy. "God, give her a new start." Pause. "Give her strength." Pause. "Give her peace." Mara cried. But this time, it wasn't only shame, it was hope. The next morning, Mara did something brave. She didn't hide. She called her counselor. She told the truth. She asked for help. That is faith too. Not just "I believe," but "I'm willing." Willing to return. Willing to rebuild. Willing to be held by God instead of swallowed by shame. God honors that willingness. Mara got a job. Not glamorous, a humble job, but it was steady. When she got her first paycheck, she held it like it was sacred. "I feel like God is rebuilding my life," she whispered. Caleb nodded. Because that's what God does. He rebuilds, brick by brick, day by day, not with hype, with faithfulness. Quick pause right here. If this story is stirring something in you, would you comment and tell me what you felt? Just one sentence. What stood out to you? What did it remind you of? I read the comments, and your words might encourage someone who's quietly struggling. All right, let's keep going. One evening, Mara asked Caleb, "Why didn't you give up on me?" Caleb was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Because I think God didn't give up on me first." Mara stared at him. Caleb continued. I used to think my life was cleaner. Pause. But God showed me my pride. Pause. And he softened my heart. Mara nodded slowly, and something between them healed. Not instantly, but truly. Mara started serving at church. Small things. Setting up chairs, helping with coffee, cleaning up after events. Not to earn love, but because gratitude needs somewhere to go. One older woman told Mara, God's going to use your story. Mara shook her head. I don't want to be known for my worst season, she said. The woman smiled. You won't be, she said. You'll be known for God's mercy. Caleb's faith deepened too. He started praying first, not last. He started asking God for wisdom in ordinary choices. How to speak, how to listen, how to stay calm. And he noticed something. His life didn't become easy, but it became anchored. God wasn't a Sunday idea anymore. God was present in the week, in the car, in the kitchen, in late-night phone calls. That's real faith. One night, Caleb admitted something to Mara. I'm still angry about what happened, he said. Not at you, just at the whole thing. Mara nodded. Caleb continued. I hate that you suffered. I hate that we lost time. Mara's eyes filled. Caleb whispered, I'm learning that God can handle my anger. Mara exhaled. Me too, she said. And they sat there, two imperfect people, learning honest faith. Mara began to pray again. Not long prayers, short ones. God, keep me steady. Pause. God, protect my mind. Pause. God, help me forgive myself. She didn't always feel spiritual, but she kept turning back. Turning back is faith, even when your feelings wobble, even when you're tired. God honors turning back. One Sunday, the pastor preached about the prodigal son. Mara listened like someone who was hearing her own name. A child who ran, a father who waited, a home that was still open. Mara whispered, That's me. Caleb looked at her. Mara said, I ran. Then she added, and God didn't lock the door. Caleb felt his throat tighten. Because that's the gospel. The door stays open. Mercy stays available. Home is still home. After service, Mara asked to be baptized, not as a performance, as a declaration that her past was not her identity, that Jesus was Lord, that mercy was real. Caleb didn't know what to feel. He felt proud. He felt afraid. He felt grateful. He also felt humbled because he realized he needed mercy too, just in different ways. The week before the baptism, Mara got nervous. What if I don't stay strong? She asked. Caleb answered gently. You don't have to be strong forever, he said. You just have to keep turning back. Mara nodded. Caleb added, and God is the one who holds you. Mara whispered, I want to believe that. Caleb said, then let's pray it. And they prayed. God, hold me. Simple, but powerful. The day of the baptism came. A small room, a small crowd, quiet excitement. Mara stepped into the water. She trembled, not from fear, from awe. She said softly, "Jesus, I'm yours." Then she went under. When she came up, she was smiling and crying, and Caleb felt tears burn behind his eyes, because he wasn't just watching Mara change. He was watching God move in real life. Afterward, Mara hugged Caleb. "I feel clean," she whispered. Caleb didn't correct her. He knew what she meant. Forgiven, covered, welcomed. And if you've never felt that, hear this. God's invitation isn't only for people with tidy lives. It's for the lost, the ashamed, the exhausted. God is a redeemer. God is not afraid of your mess. Life continued. Bills still came. Stress still showed up. But Caleb noticed a new kind of strength. Not muscle strength, spiritual strength. The strength to stay present. The strength to love without controlling. The strength to forgive. And he realized something important. God's protection doesn't always mean nothing bad happens. Sometimes God's protection means you don't walk through it alone. That is real. That is faith. Mara started telling her story, slowly, not to get attention, to give hope. She told a younger girl at church, "I thought God hated me." Then she smiled gently. "But God came looking." The girl cried because she needed to hear it. Mara held her hands and said, "God can come looking for you too." And Caleb watched it happen. Mercy multiplying. This is what faith does. It spreads hope. One night, Caleb sat alone in his car after work. He looked up at the dark sky, and he whispered, "God, thank you." Pause. For not giving up on my sister. Pause. And for not giving up on me. He realized something. Some prayers are not requests. Some prayers are gratitude. And gratitude changes the way you live. It softens you. It steadies you. It makes room for worship in ordinary places. Caleb started serving too. Not because he had everything figured out, because he wanted his life to point somewhere. He started helping at the shelter sometimes. He didn't go in as a hero. He went in as someone who remembered fluorescent lights, plastic chairs, tired eyes, and he prayed silently over each person he saw. God, be near. Because God is near, especially to the broken-hearted. Mara kept growing. Some weeks were strong, some weeks were tender, but she didn't hide like she used to. She asked for help. She stayed connected. She kept praying. And every time shame tried to pull her back, she answered with truth. God's mercy is bigger. That sentence became a shield, not a weapon, a shield, a reminder that grace can cover what shame tries to expose. Caleb learned something about faith too. Faith is not just believing God exists. Faith is trusting God's character, trusting that He is good, that He is near, that He is merciful, that He is holy, and still welcoming, that He can correct you without crushing you, that He can guide you without humiliating you. That is the God Caleb began to know. Not a distant God, a present God. Mara once asked, "Do you think God can use all the broken parts?" Caleb nodded. "Yes," he said. Pause. "I think God specializes in that." Mara smiled through tears. Because that's what redemption is. Not pretending the past didn't happen, but letting God write something new from it. A new story, a new identity, a new future. That is faith. So if you're listening right now and you feel far from God, let me say this clearly. God is not waiting to punish you. God is calling you home. And home can begin with one honest prayer. God, help me. That's enough. That's a door. That's a turning. God honors that turning. If you feel ashamed, ask for mercy. If you feel angry, tell God the truth. If you feel numb, ask God to soften you. You don't have to impress Him. You don't have to speak perfectly. You just have to be real. Because real is where God meets people. God is not allergic to your humanity. God redeems humans. Caleb and Mara didn't become perfect. They became faithful. They learned to return. They learned to pray. They learned to forgive. They learned that love is patient, and that God's patience is deeper than theirs. That is what changed their family. Not a quick fix, a steady grace, a steady God. And maybe that's what you need too. Not a miracle that erases everything overnight, but a God who stays, a God who guides, a God who rebuilds, brick by brick, day by day, one faithful choice at a time. God can rebuild a life. God can rebuild a heart. God can rebuild hope. So here's a blessing over you. May God meet you where you are. May God speak louder than shame. May God give you courage to return. May God surround you with people who love well. May God bless you with mercy that feels real. And may you remember, you are not too far. God comes looking. God brings people home. Thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, I'm honored. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord be gracious to you. May the Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace. And wherever your story is right now, may God keep writing it with mercy, with truth, with love,